can't believe it's taken me this long to make a Wanted Smash Bros. Characters list. I mean, I've done some character idea movesets a very long time ago, but now it's time to make an actual list of them. Unfortunately, it seems like there's only going to be one more unannounced character left to get into Ultimate, and Waluigi isn't one of them. Oh well, he's extremely overrated anyway. Get mad at me if you dare. Anyways, unless they decide to do DLC again, we can't expect the characters we want. But who said I was expecting all of these characters to get in? There aren't really any rules to this list, except as long as they have any chance of getting in as of now, they can be on the list. Let's go. Now there's some talk about if Dark Samus will just be a clone. Sorry, I mean Echo Fighter, since we're not allowed to say clones anymore. However, those of you who have played the Metroid Prime games will probably see that she does have some different moves from Samus. For starters, she has the ability to create copies of herself, which might sound cheap, but she could probably just summon them for a short time. Her neutral beam could be the Phazon beam, which would be different from the charge beam, and she would slam onto the ground with great power. And as for her final smash, this will contain spoilers from Metroid Prime 3. She could fuse with the Aurora unit, where it can fire lasers at you and create Dark Samus clones. That is, if the Switch can handle that in 8-player Smash. Not only would this give us another Metroid representative, it would also give us an additional villain. By the way, she was my most wanted Metroid representative even before Ridley was confirmed. Yeah, you heard that right. Generation 7 was just plain beautiful, and it would be an honor to have this game represented in Ultimate. To be honest, I want a Gen 7 stage more than a Gen 7 character, especially if they make that stage the Aether Paradise. But anyways, let's get on to the character. Now you're probably expecting Decidueye, but if you ask me, I personally think that it would be better if we were to get something more along the lines of Silvally. Why do I think this? Well, because Silvally is kinda like the Lucario of Gen 7. I think that its special ability, the RKS system, would give it some variety. Its neutral B could be the multi-attack, which can be of different elements, like fire, lightning, or ice. I don't know how you'd be able to alternate it. If it can't depend on what color it is, which it probably won't, then I'd say maybe it should be alternated in the same way Shulk's Monado Arts can be altered. I can't really expect this Pokemon to get in because more people are asking for Decidueye, and I heard that quadrupedal Pokemon might be harder to implement, but there's a chance I'll get lucky. And if not, then at least people on Team Decidueye would be happy. Unless, of course, neither of them get in. I know I am not alone at all when I say that I want Shovel Knight in Smash Ultimate. Is there anything I can talk about that hasn't already been said about him? Well, considering the game's success, we can expect him to at least make it onto the Smash ballot if they have one like they did in Wii U. Truth be told, I was probably about 75% sure he was going to win the Smash ballot. Too bad he had to lose to Bayonetta. Oh well, hopefully we can see him get in this time around. Obviously, most of his attacks would be his shovel, but he should also use some of those power-ups you can have in the game, such as the ability to teleport. I can see that as a side special or an up special. Maybe if he gets in, we could also get Plague Knight or Spectre Knight as some of his alternate costumes. But then again, that probably wouldn't work. Hey, I gotta keep this segment from being too short somehow, or else people would get mad at me. As for a stage, let's have the Plains of Passage. I prefer it if it was a graphically enhanced version like Wrecking Crew instead of just being an 8-bit stage like Duck Hunt with some of the levels of Smash 3DS. So yeah, he'd be a nice addition. Here's a character that was somewhat unknown but eventually became a somewhat well-known character. That's right, it's Shante. While some of her games aren't as good as I expected them to be, they're still pretty awesome, and they give her some great moveset potential. Her transformations probably wouldn't have the same effect as characters like Sheik or the Pokemon Trainer. I think they should just be implemented into her moveset. For example, she could have the ability to wall jump, but when she does that she turns into a monkey. Her forward smash could be where she dashes using the elephant, and one of her specials could involve her turning into a mermaid and shooting enemies with the mermaid bubble. Speaking of animal transformations, I think that her reveal trailer could involve her showing her in different animal forms, which I think would look cool in this game before Shante actually reveals herself. She could also have some items implemented into her moveset, and some of her taunts could include her dancing. As for Final Smash, maybe she could have that move where she surrounds herself with swords. If Shante doesn't get into Smash Ultimate, I will probably feel let down. But I won't be too upset. Before we move on to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Hat Kid from A Hat in Time. She has some great moveset potential with her different outfits granting her different abilities. Only reason she isn't on here is because some stupid unspoken rule that they have to have been on a Nintendo console, so unless A Hat in Time makes it to the Switch, we can't expect her anytime soon. Next up we have Bandana Waddle Dee. Honestly, I personally don't want to see him in Smash Ultimate. I can see why others want him, because he's no ordinary Waddle Dee, but in my opinion, it would have been the equivalent of having a Goomba as a playable character. Lastly, we have Captain Toad. He just barely missed the list, and the only thing keeping him from being on here is the fact that his inclusion would mean we would have 9 Mario characters. That's 3/4 of the roster in the original Smash. To be fair, I wouldn't mind that as much as I should, though. About 10 years ago, I really wanted Sora to be in Smash, but because Nintendo and Square Enix were so stubborn with each other, it seemed like that isn't going to happen. So I had to wallow in my own self-pity until I was forced to suck it up and deal with it. But 7 years later, I saw a faint glimmer of hope when Cloud got into Smash 4 as DLC, so that means Sora may have a chance because he's from Square Enix just like Cloud is. One can make the argument that we can't have 2 characters from the same third-party company, but let me respond to that with this. Mega Man and Ryu. It will probably be harder for 2 Square Enix characters, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. So why I want Sora to get in? Well, because I am a huge fan of the Kingdom Hearts series, and seeing this franchise represented in Smash would be a dream come true. He could have some pretty awesome moves. For example, he could use Strike Wave, which works like a boomerang. He could use some magic in his moveset, and I can definitely think of a good Final Smash for him. He would transform into his final form from Kingdom Hearts 2, and he'd launch a series of combos on the enemy. I've heard some arguments that Kingdom Hearts is part Disney, but there's the thing. Who said they had to have any Disney elements in his moveset? Aside from that small Mickey head-shaped keychain on his Keyblade that people will probably not even notice, and even if that proves to be a problem, I doubt it'll be hard to just not have that on its Smash design. If Sora gets in, he might even be my new main in Smash. I'll probably still have Meta Knight as my mascot, and I probably will still be named Meta527 II, because I don't want to confuse anyone. But as for now, Sora is my most wanted Smash Bros. Ultimate character.